the coach not necessarily think that some players can be a single pivot. And I've been running with this like all week since I start the back videos and since me everywhere. The coach don't trust some central midfielders to be a single pivot. And I understand. And enough coach not trust some players to be a standalone number 6. Now to compensate to that is you can't play a double pivot. And I keep on saying that. And I think that's what we did why we look better when the coach made a tactical change on the 28th minute. Going to a double pivot also helps. Yeah, going changing the formation helps free up some spaces on the wing, etc., etc. Help with us defending the Panamanian team. But what it also does, it makes us go to a double pivot. Using a 4-2-3-1 also makes you have a double pivot. So every time you need a standalone number 6. So if you don't have one player that can play a standalone number 6 in his eye, I think even angling for me would be a ideal player to play in a double pivot instead of using defenders. I'm tired of seeing defenders in that role. So for me, Jean-Pierre, I think that he can form a part of the solutions, in my opinion.
Well, at the very least, he can't walk with 5 midfielders going anywhere anymore. That's not gonna sense.
No.
And Busy is not a midfielder.
Exactly. So
I really 4 midfielders in walk with the World Cup qualifiers and World Cup. That can't work.
4 and 2 injured.
And then 2 get injured. You get me? That really kill me, But in terms of you're saying as a single pivot, McLaren made it clear that when he just came, he made it clear on why he wanted Hayden. That's how his style of football is. The way he likes to play, he want that number 6 like that does that kind of work. And Hayden is not there. There's nobody else in the pool at the moment who can play the single pivot double 6. But I also agree with you because the few times under Coach Grimmy that we really look like a complete team is the double pivot with Aaron.
Yeah, you have to be flexible. You can't have one size fit all as a coach. That's part of coaching. And again, you have to find the players that can also help to form the solution that you need. And for me, like the way I'm not a prejudice against who that midfielder or who those midfielders are. I just want midfielders where in a midfield mode for a season, and you don't know, we see those players literally playing a whole season. And again, I think the defenders would have been in defensive mode or in a defender. You can't play a whole season as a defender and then you're going to expect that you're going to turn it on and show defenders to go play midfield. So for me, again, if Dwayne Allen, for instance, made the team, personally, I'm not a problem. I know a lot of people like I say, Dwayne Allen, I'm not ready because him come from JP. That's not me. Never. If a solution, I'm in a business where the solution fall from.
Mm-hmm.
And those people will usually talk, so Jean-Pierre, usually people don't actually watch JPL week in, week out. So,
a lot of them,
yeah, so for me, and again, from a player form a solution, say Richard King, perfect example. He provided a solution when we needed one. And nobody can talk about him anymore. So even Dwayne Allen, that's a midfielder that's playing midfield week in, week out. If he's to be in the team, I'd rather see him in the team playing midfield than any defenders you're going to put in a midfield. And let me say this as well, because I've been saying this. I just think Richard King are the best defender we can play midfield, and we never ever see that yet. So I gotta move on. Come on, I preach on these things. I've been a preacher.
No, you see, bring up some interesting. I will admit, if I had to choose between Lowe and King in midfield, but I go with King. Because
but I take it a step further. If I have to choose between Lati and King, I'm choosing King again.
The only reason I mentioned Lati, because Lati actually have experience playing there. It's not like Lati never played there before for club and country. You get me? That's the only reason I never mentioned Lati there. But Lati is not necessarily the answer either. Right?
And if he's not the answer, why keep trying it and trying it again? Why not try King to see if King might be the answer? We don't know. No, people are going to say King is not the answer either, but we don't know. We have never seen it. You might try it and figure that him become the answer. We don't know. But all I know is that I've seen that trick over and over, and we know for a fact that that's not the answer. Try something new. Definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results, and that's what we've been doing. So me take it one step further. I know a lot of people. I saw people reason. Everybody reasons to say that King is low is not the answer, and they rather see King than low. But me, I tell you personally, I rather see King than Lati. Personally, I rather see King than Lati in that midfield.
I can't argue with that point because it's clear that Latvia is in limitations, right? Especially if we are going forward, it might be limitation. But even defensively in that midfield, for him to get around the park, him look limited. So anyway, but as the referee said, I don't want to say any more defenders there. We have to find. I know the pool's shallow when it comes to the midfield, but we have to try to find some players there. And what's your take on Brandon Cover? Why you think Brandon Cover never get a chance really as a specialist? See them.
Honestly, I think he played a lot of the season at right back.
Right back.
Okay. So I think that there might be an issue there with him in midfield. But again, he is a specialist. See them. He played a lot of youth football and coming through a lot of previous seasons in midfield. So again, I would rather see him there. But for me, I don't care what the solution form from, The solution just need to form from actual midfielders who know the role, understand the role, have played the role for more than just a handful of games. I think that's where the solution I form from. I hate putting we call it square pegs in round holes and asking them to be the solution. We've seen this already. So if a Brandon Cover should have gotten the opportunity, I would have wanted to see it. For me, I'm not the coach. I'm not seeing training sessions. We are not the coach as fans. We can't see the training sessions. So we are not privy to seeing these players. So why not allow us to see them then and say, all right, this don't work? Because at the same time, what you're allowing us to see, it's still not working. It's still not working. And we have to see this over and over. And we have to pay our money to keep our cable bill on, for even stream it. We have to pay our money for keep our internet bill on for streaming. We have to pay our money for have cable for watch it. Or we have to pay our money for going at the stands. Or we have to give up with time, even if we get free pass, for going at the stands for watch it. So at the end of the day, we are stakeholders and we are invested emotionally and otherwise. It's only right for us to see something different and see if it really doesn't work. But we don't see these things don't work. We don't see a Dwayne Allen in the midfield. We don't see a Richard King in the midfield. We don't see a Brandon Cover in the midfield. So the only thing we see are defenders in the midfield, and I'm sick and tired of it, frankly. I'm not lying. Sick and tired of it.
Or at least, as you said, switch your formation style and play double pivot. At least that,
Something.
We don't want to derail the thing. There's one more take more ask about your kid. You're okay with Steve Mcclaren staying on as coach?
Personally, it's tricky because of the timing, right? Because if you're gonna do it, you have to do it now, and I think even doing it now is kind of too late. So it's kind of an unstyled kind of thing. And again, I've seen a lot from Steve Mcclaren that there's a lot of pros with Steve Mcclaren, a lot of pros. Because if you do pro, you have to do a pros and con analysis, and you'll find a lot of pros with Steve Mcclaren. You'll find a lot of cons as well, because I think he really showed that certain things that we, the fans, would have already learned, he would have to go learn for himself. And it's kind of weird because we'd have already learned that these things don't work, and we see him do it again for realize that it don't work now. So when I read up the pros and the cons, I think I've seen enough to say, yeah, blind faith me I forgot have, but I forgot have blind faith and stick with him and just trust that he would have really learned. He would have really learned and just figure, say, what happened on the Gold Cup, you just draw a line through it and just use it as the L's as lessons. You have to take the L's as lessons. And taking the L's as lessons now, his job is to find solutions. And one of his pros is his ability to bring in new players from the diaspora. And I think probably some of the answers we can find is probably some of the players that he will be recruiting. Or here's 4 new players that will come September, but we have been hearing about 4 new players coming in. But for me, it's not even about recruiting alone. It's about finding the solutions in where he needs to find a solution. And I don't think, for me, he has done a great job in that. He has bring in a few players, at least one player every single window. But it needs to be players that can provide the solution in the areas that we need, and especially in the central midfield role. And you must understand, say, the solution can't keep coming or trying to come from. I sound like a scratch card for say it again. From defense. So you have to realize if him can't find the central midfielders from the diaspora, and deliberately as a central midfielders and not CDM. Because again, me understand say if you can't find a 6, you can use two sixes that are central midfielders and not necessarily number 6. You can find 2 players that are out and out number 8s and put them for the play as a double pivot. So that's why I'm keep on saying central midfielders. I deliberately say this. So for me, I hope that he would have learned, and I hope that he can find solution. So for me, it's not Steve Mcclaren out. Because if I'm to say Steve Mcclaren out, I would have to try and find solutions that can hit the ground running right now. And the truth is, I can't find any solution that will definitely, I would say, 100% sure say I'm going to hit the ground running right now. I think if any of those coach come in, they would have to go through a learning phase, and we not have the teething process phase to go through no more. So we just have to say, say, a coach would have to learn it, and he have to show him solutions now, because I just say it.
Boss, completely agree with basically everything you said. If it wasn't for the timing, I think he would have walked.
Yeah, but definitely.
Again, it don't make sense to me with 3 months left in the campaign, and the cycle, get a brand new coach right now, unfortunately. So we're stuck with him. But
don't get me wrong, wait, let me say this and this again. Don't get me wrong, if I don't get 6 points from my first 2 games, he got to go. He got to go. If he got to go. If I don't get 6 points from my first 2 games.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, because if we can't get 6 against Bermuda, and this important, and then what we have Bermuda and then Trinidad
at home.
Yeah.
That's Trinidad at home, we can't drop no points right there. So make us start fret now. I'm not have no finger in your leg. He got to go. He got to go.
You have a point.